up, everyone? It's your girl Brain Shanae, and today I'll be sharing with you the rest of the books that I have read in March. So if you want to know what those books are, please stay tuned. And I am back, and also if you're new to my channel, welcome. So like I said before, I'll be sharing with you the rest of the books that I have read in March. I have read, I don't remember how much I've read pretty much in March. I think I have read maybe like 9 books possibly. I'm not sure. I don't even remember. That's crazy. But right now I have 4 books I want to share with you. So the first book I want to share with is my group book with a lot of the lovely ladies from the Black Author Readathon. We decided to do a monthly like a book read. So this is the book that we had chose for March, and that is Only One Bed. And this has a multiple of stories, different perspectives, different relationships, different circumstances, which I really enjoyed and I really loved. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. I think like some of the stories, they were longer than what they should have been, but I do love the details. I will say it's very steamy. A lot of steamy sex scenes that was which was incredible. I really enjoyed it. So the stories, the people that have written these stories, these amazing authors, we have Lucy Eden, Rebel Carter, Renee Dahlia, Lauren Connolly, Sarah E. Lilly, AZ Louise, Torrance Sine, and Ali Williams. Love these books so much. I also love the there was one story who was a plus size woman, and she was bisexual, or at first she didn't realize she was bisexual, or maybe she thought she was, but she wanted to keep that hidden about herself because she was married to her husband and then he passed away. So I do like the plus size women representation in this book. I do also like the fact you know, there's a lot of different women, pretty much, and men with different sexualities, which I also love. I love how diverse it is. We have bisexual, some of them consider themselves gay. So it really supports the LGBTQ plus community, which, like I said, I really enjoy. I love the diversity. I love the different examples that it gives regarding certain relationships, what they go through on a regular basis, how they're looked upon in society. But I just love the fact of how their love for each other was just amazing. Like I said, all these stories was really great. Like I said, the only reason why I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because I feel like some of the stories, not all of them, were a little bit longer than they should have been. I feel like it was just dragging just a tad. But like I said, I enjoyed these stories. I need to read more stories like these, especially books in general, because I do love the representation and the support of the LGBTQ plus community. But yeah, so Only One Bed, I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. So we have this one right here. Next book that I read, I did my own, its own individual video about for the review, which I'll link up above, and that is Lore by Alexander Bracken. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars because I think as similar to Only One Bed, I felt like it was longer than what it should have been. Some stuff could have been left out, but it was really good. I really enjoyed the Greek mythology and everything, and finding out more about lore and everything like that, and getting into that world and the competition of the Aegon, which, like I said, if you want to know like all of my thoughts about this book, you will see that in my review, which I'll link up above, so you can check that out after this video. So I got this one that I read. Next one that I read is filled with poems. It mostly deals with a lot of Black girls, Black women, and what we go through on a regular basis, everything like that, the transitioning of our bodies, what we go through when we have our menstrual cycles, everything. And I just love how this amazing author touched on a lot of things. And that is Black Girl Call Home. It's poems by Jasmine Mans. And just the cover alone is beautiful. I think that's what got me into wanting to read it more, or wanting to read it in general. And it was just amazing. Like, there even were some poems that I think I'll read to you because some of them stuck out to me. I even shared it with my husband and just got his input on the poems itself, on what he thought. So on page 3, it says, Mama has a hair salon in the kitchen. Now with this poem, it reminds me of how when I was growing up, how my mom how she would wash my hair in the sink. Now, of all y'all know, at least I'm 28 years old. A lot of us know that, yeah, you got your hair washed in the sink, not in the shower. I remember all those, like when we had like wash days and everything like that, how she would style my hair. I hated it as a kid. Like, I really hated her with my hairstyles so much. And after when I told her and expressed how I really hated her hairstyles, that's when she took me to the hair salon for most, for the remainder of my childhood and what have you. But yeah, washing my hair in the sink, just going through all those motions of hurting my hair. Like, she really she would, like, when I would mess with my hair after she would comb it, it would hurt so bad, she would just smack me on the hand. She's like, get your hand out the way. It was just so many memories. So with this, it says wash: barrettes, twists, crisscross, braids, beads, cornrows, wooden brush, edges, silk scarf, nappy, kitchen, beads, 4C, which is the type of my hair that I have, type of hair, texture of hair that I have, 4C, coil, ouch, super grow, straighten, burn, breakage, drip dry, split, crunch, grow, cut, 4A, yaki. And yaki is another type of hair. It's another type of brand of hair. I think especially like extensions of hair. I know that there's different types, like you have the weave, you have all that different types of stuff you have for the braiding hair. Yaki is a brand. And then it says bundle, bleach, chop, short, dye, curl, slick, toothbrush, damage, afro, roller set, shrinking, ugly, long, thin, thinning, thinner, weave, heat, press, hot comb, no edges, toothbrush, nigga naps. Yeah, it says nigga naps, sheen, spritz, dryer, hold your head still, which my mom said a lot to me. Deep conditioning, pretty, bleach, Vaseline, shrunk, burn, breakage, don't make me pop you, which again, my mom has said that. Scalp, fine, just for me, poison, natural, pressed, dry, damaged, edges, trim, be still, hold your ear. And those are a lot of things, especially Black women have gone through, especially with their hair, a lot of breakage, everything like that. Hold your ear when their hair was getting pressed and stuff like that. So I just really love that poem because it really brought back memories of my childhood. So I really enjoyed that poem. Next poem, there's like two more that I want to share with you. This is called Black Sun, which it got me thinking a lot about things that made me cry because I do have two black sons and I fear for them. I'm not walking in fear, but I do fear for them and what their future may hold due to, living in America and being a Black boy in America. So it says, Black Sun, after Alyssa Harris on Shane Bell. How do you tell a woman that raising a black son isn't some type of inside joke crafted by God and some white man? Can you prove to me they are not in heaven, snickering at the soul of a single parent mother, dressing her son for graduation, hoping he can make it across the stage, down the aisle, or even off the balcony, quick enough to not get caught in his skin at the wrong time? I've touched the bellies of women who will look you in the eyes like a bluebird awakening to a holocaust and whisper, I am just afraid to raise a black son. A black boy is just a trembling soul suffocating in a fabric that always seemed to make you itch around the neck, the tag that makes you scratch around your noose collar. How can you tell a woman holding her son in the delivery room, praying that his skin doesn't get any darker, hoping it'll stay as light and deceiving as a sunrise in the ghetto, that her son isn't some white man's pit stop, that her son's body isn't a chamber for some bigot to store his son and his southern accent in, that her son isn't some colored toy for the rich blue-eyed boys? Can you tell her her son's penis isn't dark enough to be considered rape in the Confederate States? I am just afraid to raise a black son who will spend the rest of his life praying for a melody or a melanin safe enough to scream in, a son who has to be a martyr for a war he never asked for. So that really touched me. It broke my heart just thinking about that. Like, for me, I never really thought about that. It's like, I thought about it, like, but I felt like for me, since I'm not a single mother, I have my husband who will help me along the way to raise my two sons and also to raise our daughter, who's older of the three. And so, it's really sad how you have to think about that. Like, I don't, like my son, like, I'm just afraid to raise a black son because, I mean, you know, that's understandable why you would think that and why you would say that. But yeah, I felt like that was very touching. That's called Black Sun. It's on pages 50 through 52. Just in case if you do want to see that and read that for yourself or share it with someone that you want to share it with. And then the next one, this last one brought back memories. And this is pretty much for Black women. And stuff like that. And for me, you know, for the Black community, you knew and you should know who our first Black fairy godmother was. Yes, the first Black godmother that we had that was introduced to us. Yes, Whitney Houston, if you didn't think so. It says, Whitney, fairy godmother. My fairy godmother left today, took up her wings and fluttered away. Heard the Holy Ghost hummed a note that rang in her soul. Maybe made us believe there was really something special about a Christmas Eve right in the middle of the ghetto. There may not be anything under this tree, no gifts from 3 kings, but boy, can't that girl sing. Holding notes as strong as wooden Baptist church pews, with black pockets holding the Bibles and sins of some men who would scurry away but find an early Sunday morning to come back for them, chasing a sound that could turn a pumpkin into a chariot. Made us believe Cinderella could be a brown girl with a chance at forever if she had a little faith and measuring tape, a little glitter, and a whisper that could grant you one last wish or a last kiss. God blessed you in the dreams of every brown girl with a fairy tale in her heart and a prayer stumbling up the stairs of her throat. A Black girl with faith as blind as the wind, yet as real as its whisper. And yes, like I said, when Cinderella came out featuring Brandy and Whitney Houston, for us Black girls, at least when I was a little girl when it came out, it was so a breath of fresh air to see like there is princesses and princes like me that look like me. You know what I mean? Like, wow, like I could be somebody. My dreams can come true. You know what I mean? And I loved Cinderella. Like, I still love Cinderella. I'm glad that they put it on Disney Plus finally. But yes, I wanted to share with you that poem as well. Like I said, these are a lot of amazing poems. There's a lot of poems that you really have to think about and really like analyze on what it's really saying and what the message is. But I really, really enjoyed this book. I rated it a 5 out of 5 stars for sure. But yes, it's called Black Girl Call Home. It's poems by Jasmine Mans. I do highly recommend this book if you do want to read this, but I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. This book came out this year, I believe. I forget. It just came out this year. I forget what month. But this book was amazing. So I highly recommend it and I really, really enjoyed it. So we got that one. Last but not least, I read another deep book that reminded me, or it resembles a lot of things, and it had me crying and stuff like that, and it had me like, I was like in awe at the very end on certain things, on what I gathered after reading it and when I got to the end of the book, and that is Muted by Tammy Charles. Now this book is following Dallas in Denver. Pretty much this is Denver. She has a condition on, I forget what the name is, the term. If you know, please let me down below in the comments. But one of her eyes is blue and one of her eyes, her one eye is blue and her other eye is brown. And pretty much she has dreams of becoming this singer, an amazing and I would say amazing and popular and rich and, you know, singer. She wants to be known. She wants to be throughout the world of who she is and how great of a singer she is. And she just wants to be known and have that light shine on her. So her and another girl in her group, and Dallas, which is her best friend. And I feel like they also had a relationship with each other. So I feel like also Dallas and then Denver are bisexual as well. Which, like I said, I do love that representation of that in this book. And they are pretty much wanting to meet this guy who's called Mercury. For short, they call him Merc, because he's a well-known artist, a musician, a singer, whatever have you. And so they get his attention, and he decides to, like, okay, let me try you out, without even like knowing how old they were. I feel like he did know, of course, how old they were, and he did not care. He actually liked the fact how old they were. And he really didn't think about having them contracts or anything like that. And he just started manipulating them like crazy. And then eventually he did have them have their parents sign the contract. Now, Dallas's mother signed the contract immediately because her family needed the money. As for Denver's family did not sign it. So Denver forged her parents' signature on the contract, and so she left. Now, mind you, Dallas and Denver live in a small town in Pennsylvania. So they wanted to get out. They wanted to be in the world. They wanted to, have a life where they could live and be able to support their families without struggling and having money troubles. So they go to Georgia and they live with Merk in his mansion. And then Merk always locks their doors. And then next thing you know, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. So before they even go to Georgia and stuff like that, they end up going to a session and stuff like that where they are dealing with, they're in the studio and they get intoxicated. And the next thing you know, Denver has awoken and she's bleeding. And Dallas says, "Yeah, I just put a pad. It looks like you started your period with it and you didn't even know." And I'm thinking to myself, what? That sounds really insane. And Merk was like, "Yeah, you did that. You just got out, you were naked and stuff like that." And even Denver woke up and she was naked. Like, she didn't have any clothes on. So that really didn't add up to their story. And so moving forward, as they go to Georgia, things start to happen where Denver doesn't see Dallas as much anymore. They would say like she went to Merk and stayed with him for a few months or a few weeks or whatever, while Denver Denver was on a plan to lose weight, because Denver is also a plus size girl. Like I said, love that representation of plus size women in books. So yeah. They had her on a weight loss plan and stuff like that, got her a trainer and everything like that, and have her practice her vocals. Next thing you know, she does see Dallas, and Dallas just doesn't seem like herself. She doesn't really talk to Denver like that. Next thing you know, Denver just decided, like, what's going on? Now, I will say Merk was very manipulative. Now, there is trigger warnings in this book that I will say, like manipulation, rape, just a lot in this book that there's a lot of trigger warnings in. But eventually Denver finds Dallas and she's pretty much locked up in a dungeon or in his basement, in Merk's basement, with tons of girls. And you notice that Dallas is also pregnant. So Denver tries to figure out what's going on. So she goes into this into this little room in the back of the house of the mansion, and she discovers these videotapes. Now, mind you, as they go to recording and stuff like that, Merk has his bodyguard takes their phones and everything away from them, so they couldn't record nothing or anything like that. So as Denver sees this room and sees all these tapes, she eventually sees the tape with her name on it, and she sees the tape, and when I told you how she said she woke up with no clothes on, and she was bleeding, in the video it shows that Merk was raping her while she was intoxicated. So this is a really deep book. Now, this reminds me of pretty much of R. Kelly and what he has done and probably still is doing. I'm not sure. I don't even remember if he's in jail or not, or if he got convicted or whatever. But yeah, how R. Kelly was manipulating young girls, and some young girls' parents did not care. They wanted the money more than anything. And then some of the girls just didn't know, really analyze on what, R. Kelly was doing, which is like this in this book as well. Denver and Dallas did not know what Merk was truly doing to them. So Denver found out, and so she tried to fight back. And Merk found out that she saw these tapes. So he chases after her. She finds the gun. Next thing you know, boom. And then we're towards the end of the book. Now I'm thinking throughout this book, this is coming from Denver's words. She is speaking to us throughout this entire story, but it's not her. It is Dallas's daughter. Dallas was pregnant when Denver found her in that dungeon or basement because Merk had raped Dallas as well, and she got pregnant. And the whole time, Dallas's daughter was speaking about this account, or at least I feel like Denver was talking, and then I don't know, it was really weird and complex, but Denver was talking, and then all of a sudden, then we have Dallas's daughter speaking about what happened and what have you in this book. And I know that Dallas named her daughter after Denver. Yeah, so she said, "My baby girl, Denver Lee Gomez." So yeah, she named her daughter after Denver. Denver was able to get the videotape out before she was killed by Merck. I think Merck was convicted in this book, or no, he wasn't convicted yet. They just thought that Denver had killed herself, and he got off. But before he killed her, Denver had sent her older sister the tape to her university where she stays at. And months later, after receiving that tape, Merck was then convicted and sent to prison. So I'm sure, like, as far as like, if I was my younger sister, and I'm watching that video after the funeral and everything, and after Merck wasn't even convicted and everything like that, saying he had nothing to do with her death, like, that would really like bring me to tears and sad. But then again, my sister would get justice, because he really did kill her, and he raped her and everything, and manipulated her and everything like that. So like I said, this book is very deep. It has a lot going into it. I really highly recommended it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, because a lot of young girls don't realize when they're being manipulated and everything like that. And I feel like this brings that attention to everything and what have you regarding this. Now, this book is also written in verse, so it's also a quick read. But I feel like this book is very, very important, and I recommend it to all girls and just people in general to read this book, so you can get, a better understanding of certain things, of how girls can be manipulated without them even knowing. But a 5 out of 5 stars for this book. But that is it, you guys. Those are all the books that or the remainder of the books I have read in March. I really hope you enjoyed this wrap up. I know it was a little long, but I wanted to express to you how I felt about these books. All these books were amazing, and I'm grateful that I'm able to read these amazing books and share with you all my thoughts and my opinions. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. And please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya.